Okay, first of all, let's go ahead and get started with the question of asking, what is inheritance, Benazir? In your own words, or if you already learned it by heart from what does inheritance?
Java
Mhm.
is a very useful thing because it can help us to avoid typing one function again and again. Its main advantages is reusability.
The most important part is reusability. Very good. Any other additions to that, guys?
Well, so yes, of course, we can inherit all properties and methods from
The
parent classes.
good. Okay, very good. What else? Any additions? So redundancy, right? Avoiding or removing redundancy, so you don't have to repeat yourself doing the same work multiple times. And another most important point is scalability. Okay, like you give option, for example, hey, there's an airplane, and all the other airplanes, they don't have to come up with their own, for example, constructor where they have to initialize all these values. And it has just been added here. So another good thing is, let's say all the airplanes, someday they're all electric. It doesn't need fuel capacity. All airplanes become electric. Then we can just change this fuel capacity to electric in one place. That's it. And it will be updated for all airplane types later. So that gives us scalability. When the code gets bigger and bigger, it's easier for us to manage and maintain. We don't have to go update everywhere. We just update it here. Boom. Inheritance. All right. Now we're gonna go to something called polymorphism. Oops, I'm going to it here. Method overloading. Let's talk about method overloading today. I mean, the first half of the class. Okay, let's see. And I want to get the definition from Java, ChatGPT first, so I don't have to come up with that text for it. Okay, method overloading in Java is a feature that allows a class to have more than one method with the same name as long as their parameter lists, like number of parameters, types of parameters, or both are different. Method overloading is a compile time polymorphism, meaning that it is resolved during the compile time. Key points of method overloading. Method name. All overloaded methods must have the same name. parameter list. The parameter list must be different in terms of number of parameters, type of parameters, order of parameters. Return type. The return type doesn't affect method overloading. Overloaded methods can have different or the same return type. Access modifiers. Overloaded methods can have different access modifiers, but this doesn't affect overloading. And exceptions we don't have to worry about. Okay, let's. Okay, so method overloading is a process of having the same name methods within the same class with different parameters in terms of different parameters, such as different number of parameters or different data type parameters or different order. Order of parameters. Let's take a look. So in this I'm not gonna call this method overloading. I'm gonna call this I'm gonna rename this to calculator. Calculator. That's not the right name. Calculator. Okay. So let's say I have, so method overloading is a process of having the same methods within the same class. Oh, same name methods, okay? Or methods having the methods with the same name within the same class with different parameters, such as different number of parameters or different data type parameters or different order of parameters. Let's see. Here, I'm going to create, for example, int public int add. And let's say here, I'm going to take one integer and return it by adding 10 to it. Yeah. So number, and I say return number plus 10. So basically, this method returns by adding 10 to argument, to its argument. Okay, and let's go ahead and polymorphism class. So inside this polymorphism class, what I'm gonna do is PSVM, and I'm gonna create calculator. Calculator is equal to new calculator. And here is added 10 to number. How do I call this add method from polymorphism?
Put calculator that
add. Okay, 5. And then when I run this, it should return 15 because I'm adding 10 to it, right? Here is added 10 to number. Here is added 10. Yeah. All right, 5 plus 10 is 15. Added 10 to the past number. And now it is 15. Okay, cool. So if you look at it here, let's look at the first statement. Method overloading is a process of having the same methods with the same name within the same class. Right? So the next method that I'm going to create in order to follow the overloading, I have to make sure that it has the same name, correct? Add. And then I say int x here. And then return x plus 5. So this method will return by adding 5 to the past argument here. But there's a complaint. There's a problem. It says, if I hover over this, it should say, hey, add int is already defined in polymorphism.calculator. So this method has already been defined, declared. What do I need to do? In order to make this a valid method overloading, it needs different parameters, such as different number of parameters, or different data type parameters, or different order of parameters. Okay, let's try with different number of parameters. Int y. And now x plus y. This method returns the sum of past arguments or provided arguments. Provided 2 arguments, yeah? Okay. What is the problem for this guy now? There's no problem. Cool. So this is a perfect example of method overloading, where I have 2 different methods with the same name, same return type. The only difference is that I have here only 1 parameter it accepts. Here it accepts 2 parameters, right? That's the only difference. And this is a valid overloading. All right, let's go ahead and call the returning sum of 2 numbers. And then calculator dot add. And now here's the interesting part. Yeah, you see, I have 2 add methods. One of them accepts 1 parameter, another one accepts 2 parameters. I'm gonna choose the first one. That's fine, because even if I pass here right now 6, it's not going to complain, right? Why? Because I have a method which takes 1 parameter and just returns by adding 10 to it. And then even if I wanted to do this, it's still not a problem, because I have another method which takes two parameters. And I have done that here. I have called that method by passing two parameters, the values for x and y. And so if I run it now, it should return 15 and 8. So as you can see, both of them. This is an example of method overloading. Now I will create one more. This time it will, let's see, this method returns sum of all three numbers provided. All right. Public int add int num1 int num. Oh, I can just call it xyz, right? X int y int z. Return x plus y plus z. Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay. And if I wanted to call that method now, returning sum of three numbers. So here I can do 1, 4, 6. So this should return me 11. Yeah. Let's see, there we go. So the first method takes only one parameter and adds 10 to it and returns it to us. The second one takes two parameters and returns us sum of those two numbers. The third one takes three parameters, returns the sum of all those three parameters. And do we have any questions now? Yes. Yeah, I can take a look. Polymorphism. Calculator. Okay, day 51. Okay, let me move this. Calculator, day 51. Calculator. Equals new. Yeah. You imported the other calculator class. It looks like you have another calculator class, right? All right, any questions? No? No questions? Okay.
No.
Yes? I'm gonna share this code in the Slack.
Could you create just integer or you need to create another?
You can create another data type too. Let's take a look at that. For example, this time I want to return float. Okay, public float and add the same method name, integer x plus float y. Return float, oops, x plus y. This should work. Okay. See, now look at these two methods, they match. This takes 2 parameters, and this one also only takes 2 parameters. The number of parameters are okay. The return type, it doesn't matter. But the problem here, the good thing here that Java is allowing us to do is that the data type of the second parameter is float. Here it is integer. As you can see, even the parameter names match. But it doesn't matter because the data type of the parameters are different. First one takes 2 integers, second one takes integer and float. And so this is fine. And I could call here the method sum of int and float numbers. So I'm going to put for the second one 2.3 and here 7, and then I got to put here f, right, for float. Yeah, okay. If I run, it should return 9.3. Yep, there we go. Now your job is to do the same, but create a class called separate class called multiplication, and create 3 different methods called multiply, and let those methods return double data type. Okay. So the task is create a class multiplication. Class name start with uppercase, okay? Don't forget that. And define 3 methods with the name multiply. And return double data type for all, and implement method overloading. I don't care how many parameters you're going to take. You can take 10 parameters if you want, but make sure that you are practicing and implementing method overloading. And all the methods should be called multiply, and the class name should be called multiplication, and at least 3 methods. Okay, let me go ahead and copy this, send it in the WhatsApp. I mean, not WhatsApp, what do you call Slack channel? I think you guys, you should be comfortable with it, right? I'm gonna create one more class here, max finder. I'll call it max finder, and I'm gonna, I can do this. So find max. So let's say public int return max, and this takes integer a, integer b, and integer max equals a for now. Then I will say if b is bigger than max, then max becomes b, and then return max. Or I don't even need this. All I can say, all I can do is if A is bigger than B, then return A, right? Else return B. That's it. And I'm gonna create one more where I'm going to do method overloading, return max again, integer A, integer B, integer C. If A is bigger than B and A is bigger than C, then return A, right? Else if B is bigger than A and B is bigger than C, then return B. Else return C. Boom. Okay, max finder equals max finder, new max finder. Then max finder, okay. So for int one parameter, oh, two parameter, wait. Max of two, max of two numbers. And max finder dot return max, and I'm gonna send here -4 and 5, and it should return which one? 5, right? Max of 2 and max of, oops, of 2. All right. Max of, oh, playing music. Not me. Okay, good. Max of 3. So I'm gonna put here 2, 8, 11. Oh, 2, 8, 5. And then max of 3, max of 3. I am sure you guys have questions, or I hope you have questions. Let me run. Okay. So max of 2 returned 5, max of 3 returned 8. And this is exactly what we just did with Gurkhayr, right? All right, so we have a class called MaxFinder, and it has two separate methods, return max, return max. Both of them have the same name, same return type. The only difference is in the number of parameters. Here, the first one takes only 2 integers, the second one takes 3 integers. And this is valid method overloading, okay? And basically these methods, what they do is just finds the maximum, like the bigger number, and returns it. Basically, when we check between two numbers, we just check one of them. If one of them is bigger than the other one, then we just need to return that. Else, we return the opposite one. And the second one is it takes 3 integers. So between these 3, we have to find the biggest number, max. So we need to check if A is bigger than B and A is bigger than C, then A is bigger than both of them. Therefore, we return A. Else if B is bigger than A and at the same time B is bigger than C, then we return B. Else we just return C. And I don't need this else at the end, or I can put it back. Any questions on this? Okay. See you guys in 15 minutes. Going to talk about, so method overloading completed, yeah? Method overloading, the number one requirement in method overloading is that the method should have the same name. That's the number one requirement. Number two, they should have different parameters. It could either be a different number of parameters or different data type parameters, or their orders switched. Now we're going to talk about method overriding. Method overriding is a process of the same method name in the parent class and the child class. Method overriding in Java is a feature that allows a subclass to provide a specific implementation of a method that has already been defined in its superclass, meaning it's in the parent class. The overridden method in the subclass should have the same method signature, name, return type, and parameters as the method in the superclass. So key points here of method overriding: same method signature. What does it mean? The overriding method must have the same name, same return type, and parameters as the method in the superclass. So everything has to match. Inheritance, method overriding occurs between a superclass and the subclass. The subclass inherits the method from the superclass and provides its own implementation. Let's take a look. What does it mean? So I'm going to have a class.
Sorry, but I can
Yes.
ask a question.
Yes.
Can I ask?
Yes.
So we are talking about polymorphism, right?
Right now, we are getting towards polymorphism. First, in order to understand what polymorphism is, we have to understand what method overriding and method overloading means. And combined, method overriding and method overloading and the inheritance between the parent and the subclass will help us understand what polymorphism means.
Okay.
We are getting there. I'm getting you guys ready for that. Okay. Let's say shape class. In shape class, shape is a geometric shape. What are some geometric shapes? TV is what shape? Triangle, yeah? I mean circle, I'm sorry. TV is circle, right? Rectangle, right? Yes. Yeah. So TV is a rectangle, and this right here is circle, right? Shape. And then we also have shapes such as Mary mentioned here. What? Triangle, yeah. Triangle. What else? Trapezoid and different shapes. Geometric shapes. All right. Very colorful ones here. All right. So circle, ellipse, triangle, heart, octagon, heptagon, pentagon, square, rectangle, parallelogram, trapezium, rhombus, star. So all of these are different. I mean, there's more shapes, of course, but shapes meaning they all have something common. They're all types of shapes, right? Let it be circle, triangle, octagon, pentagon. Now, they all have area, right? They all have perimeter. Perimeter? No. Perimeter means the length of all sides combined together. Like from here, going all the way around, coming here, it's perimeter of, yeah, perimeter of circle, right? This, all sides, 5 sides, right? When we add them, it gives us the perimeter of this pentagon. Same thing for rhombus, all sides. Basically, adding the length of all sides will give us the perimeter of a shape. Do you understand, Miss Claire? Do you understand? Okay, then let me ask you questions. Woo! How can I get the length of this parallelogram? Sorry? Multiply what? Multiply this by this.
That's an area.
That's the area, right? So we have to. The perimeter. Yes. No. The length of all the sides combined. Yes. So this plus this and this plus this, right? Basically 2 times height plus 2 times length, right? Or for me, I like it simple. Just add all sides. So let's say, yeah, this is 4, this is 4, this is 2, this is 2. 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus 4. Makes it simple. But all shapes have area and perimeter. So what I want you guys to understand is that something that's common between all shapes. Let's do that. So for a shape, this is gonna. Properly. Then. It's gonna be a little tough here. Why? Because we need to, I should have divided into two different groups. Let's just do first draw shape. It's going to be a void method, draw shape, and it is going to just print out shape is drawn, right? The past tense of draw is drawn, right? Okay, good. I sometimes forget. Okay, shape, let's just have one method for now. And because calculate area is gonna be a little bit difficult at this moment. Shape designer, that's one class. And then in here, we're also gonna have a triangle class. So inside this triangle class, I'm going to have the same method, public void draw shape. System out println, triangle has been drawn. Past tense of drawn. Drawn. Okay, triangle has been drawn. In the shape, shape has been, wait, shape is drawn. Okay, triangle is drawn. All right, so right now, this will be a perfect example of a method overriding. The only thing that's missing here is, so same method name, same return type, meaning the return type of both these methods is void. So they don't return anything, right? And number one rule for method overriding has been done by having the same method name, same method signature. The only thing missing right now is that in order for overriding to happen, the subclass needs to, basically, a class needs to inherit another class. So we use extend shape. Now, you see something that the shape class is showing this sign. It says O. And now it says subclass by triangle. And now if I hover over this, it says is overridden in triangle. So this shapes, draw shape method has been overridden in the triangle class, draw shape. As you can see, the method signature matches between both of them, right? The only thing is the output. So in the shape class, it says shape is drawn. In the triangle class, triangle is drawn. How does it relate to method overriding? Is because whenever we are let's say in the shape designer, I am going to create shape shape object, new triangle. Look at this. Shape is the parent class of triangle. Is that right? superclass, parent class, yeah? So I am able to create an object of triangle class, but by referencing the shape class. So the reference type for this shape object is shape class. The object itself belongs to the triangle class. So this is where it gets really tricky. Right now, if I do shape object dot draw shape, which method is going to get called? So this is where it's very interesting, right?
Triangle is time.
See, shape class is the parent class of triangle. And now this object here, shape object, is referencing the shape class, which is here, the parent class. But it is type of object for triangle class. So this object right here belongs to the triangle class. But this method right here, right now, exists in both shape and the triangle classes. So this is called polymorphism. Oh, dynamic polymorphism. What does it mean? Polymorphism, word poly means many, right? Poly means many. Morphism means shapes. Morphy shapes, yeah. That means it can take different shapes. Basically, the shape object right here can be both shape and triangle at the same time, right? So it can be both shape and triangle at the same time. But the decision between draw shape here is when we call, first of all, let me do this, by the way. I just deleted the method inside the triangle class. It doesn't exist anymore, correct? So if I run this right now, look at this. Yeah. So it is calling the method in the parent class, right? But now watch. If I run the same method again, triangle is drawn. Because this shape object belongs to triangle. It is referencing saying, hey, I am also a child of shape class. But as an object, I belong to the triangle class. Therefore, triangle class will have higher precedence or higher priority than shape class. Because since this object belongs to triangle class, any property that belongs to triangle class will take priority or higher precedence over the shape class for this shape object. Therefore, when I call shape object.draw shape, it is first checking the one that's in the triangle class. Does this method exist in the triangle class? Yes. Okay, then that is gonna be called. If it doesn't exist here, then only it will call the one that's in the shape class. Yes. So that means object decides which method to call during the runtime. See, right now the object, when I create it here, the object doesn't know which method it's going to call. Is it gonna call the one that's in the shape class or in the triangle class? Right now, this is, I'm not executing it right now, right? The code is staying still. I'm not executing, I'm not running anything. This is the compile time. Right now, JVM, Java Virtual Machine, is compiling this code. Look, how can I prove that to you? If I delete this, you see this red? It's throwing error. It says, hey, semicolon is missing. So it's compiling. It knows what's happening here. So during compile time, it can detect, hey, semicolon is missing. Put it there. I put it, it's happy now, right? And it's compiling means right now it knows where and what it's going to call and all this stuff. But during compile time, this shape object doesn't know which method is going to get executed when I invoke this. Because this method exists both in the shape class and the triangle class. So it does not know yet which method is going to get triggered. Therefore, it will only be decided when I click this run. When I click it, now it decided while the code is running, it said, hey, I'm going to use the one that's in the triangle class because I shape object belong to the triangle class. And when you are running, I found out that triangle class has this method, and this method will take higher precedence or higher priority over the one that's in shape class. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, called dynamic polymorphism, where object decides which method to call during the runtime, not during the compile time. Now throw the questions.
Possible to replace the shape to triangle. For example, triangle shape object new shape. First the child plus and the next
No.
part.
No.
The parent.
Exactly. Yes. So if I put here triangle and shape here, it's not going to work. We're breaking the rules of Java. Yes.
Said that the object decides, right? Decides which method to call during the result.
During the runtime, when it's running, well, as soon as I click that play button or run button, right? I mean, right now we see it like that, but in reality, like all the applications are going to be running in the server where we don't even see. They will trigger one server, will call another server, and that server is going to call another function in the cloud. That function is going to generate some data, and it's going to return some things, and all of this will happen simultaneously.
So it means we have many classes. Each one will output we cannot predict, right?
I mean, yeah, we cannot predict, but at the same time, there's always going to be some kind of method invocation. Some method will always be triggered because it's always implemented either in the direct parent class or the grandparent class or the grandparent class. One of the ancestors will have that class. I mean, that method, sorry.
First child plus,
Yes,
then
always
does it exist the
direct parent.
so if the many child plus which
Mhm.
one?
You, a child can only have one parent.
No, I mean that if you have many child plus,
Mhm.
a different.
Yeah, we'll get to that right now. Let me create one more class here called rectangle, yeah, or square, yeah, rectangle. And this method is also going to implement the draw shape rectangle. And it extends shape. Yes. Now, I think this is going to answer your question right away, Ulan. Shape, rectangle equals new rectangle. See? Shape, rectangle, dot draw shape. What do you think is going to come? Rectangle is drawn or shape is drawn?
Rectangle.
Yes,
With, uh,
exactly. See? Rectangle is drawn. No, not two child classes, just one. That's why I commented the other one. See? Rectangle is drawn on because of this shape rectangle object is calling draw shape method. And since shape rectangle is an object of rectangle class, then the rectangle class methods will take higher precedence over the parent class.
Of course.
The object type is gonna be, yeah. Oh, no. Object will belong to rectangle class, but its type, the data type is gonna be shape. Yeah. Not easy, I know. Okay, next. What we saw was earlier, where is it? Polymorphism. Yeah, for example, max finder, right? In that method overloading, right now we saw return max, or also we saw the add method. In the calculator class, we have 4 add methods, right? And they all, the method signatures are different, meaning the return type is the same, name is the same, but then the number of parameters are different, correct? So in real Java, meaning like the existing features of Java, for example, right here, I have string name of school equals text state. And here's the deal. String, yeah, initial, or I can say first half. First half of the school name. What I can say here is the name of school dot substring. Look at this. There are 2 different implementations of the string method. I mean, substring method in the string class, correct? We have substring 1, substring 2. What does this remind you of? Method overriding or overloading? Overloading, right? Same name, different parameters. Yeah, see? So in real life, there's also what? We have yeah, method overloading exists in Java. Two different implementations. So to get the first half of, for example, just tech part, yeah, I can use the first one. Start from 0, and the end part is, yeah, name of school dot index of S. What happened here? Magic. So the end part is I don't want to count this, yeah, what index it is. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it said index 4, right? But I didn't want to count. So I just said index of the S, letter S. So it will give me that index, right? So start from 0 and end before the index of S, which is H. And now to get the second half, which is state, string second half, name of school dot substring, or I can just put here 4, right? Right there. See? So I can put here 4 too. So you see there are two different ways to use substring method. One is where I provide both indexes, the start and end. Another one, just the start. It will by default take it all the way to the end of the string, right? So here, as you can see, we provided two integers because the method name return max is the same for two different methods where it takes 2 parameters or 3 parameters. And this is decided during the compile time. Because look, if I do this right now and I say string third, just mix it up. Let's say I'm gonna say, right? Name of school dot substring 2, 5, 8. You see? There's no implementation of substring method with 3 parameters. So during compile time, it already knows, hey, you cannot do this because there is no substring implementation where it expects 3 parameters, right? So those are the differences. And actually, when you do 2 or 1 parameter, it works. So as you saw, while the Java is compiling without running it yet, it already detects the error. So this is called static polymorphism, that it gets detected during the compile time, not running yet, just in the compile time. Exactly. Yes. If we go back to ChatGPT, types of polymorphism in Java. In Java, polymorphism is one of the core concepts of object-oriented programming, allowing one interface to be used for general class of actions. Polymorphism enables objects of different types to be accessed through the same interface, typically by a common parent, blah, 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 blah. Okay, there are two main types of polymorphism. Number one is the compile time, which is also called static polymorphism, right? Static means during the compile time, it can be detected. Compile time polymorphism, also known as method overloading. You see, when we overload method, it is also known as static polymorphism. is resolved during the compilation of the program. During the compile time, it's resolved. Java detects it. This type of polymorphism occurs when a class has multiple methods with the same name but different parameter lists. Oh, this looks like I stole the sample from here. Yeah? Okay. Achieved by method overloading and constructor overloading. The method to be invoked is determined at compile time based on the method signature. So, depending on how many parameters I'm passing, it's already detected which method it's going to call. Remember substring? If I pass only one integer, it will accept it as the starting point. And by default, it knows that it's going to substring starting from that index all the way to the end. It already knows. But if I pass two parameters, it knows, okay, so this is my beginning, this is the ending index, right? So this is known during the compile time. It already knows which implementation it's going to call. Therefore, we call it as static polymorphism or compile polymorphism. Indian people, I mean, during interviews, they love asking this question. They enjoy this question. Why? Because not everybody knows the difference between static and dynamic polymorphism. And by asking this question, they will already know how much Java do you know? Yeah, they love this question. Okay. So the second part is a runtime polymorphism, which we can also refer to it as dynamic polymorphism. Runtime or dynamic polymorphism, also known as the method overriding concept, is resolved during the runtime of the program. It occurs when a subclass provides a specific implementation of a method that is already defined in its superclass. The method to be invoked is determined at runtime based on the actual object that calls it, even if the reference type is a superclass. Even if the reference type is a superclass, you see, reference type is a superclass, which is shape, parent of the rectangle, right? And when I run this code, this shape the rectangle object is going to call the method that's in the rectangle class. This one right here, draw shape, right? Not the one that's in the shape class, which is this one. So that's what they're talking about here. It occurs when a subclass provides a specific implementation of a method that is already defined in its superclass. The method to be invoked is determined at runtime based on the actual object that calls it, based on the actual object. So the actual object here is shape rectangle is the rectangle type, meaning rectangle object, instance of rectangle. Even if the reference type is the superclass. So data type of this shape rectangle or the reference type is a shape. But the one implementation that's in the child class will take higher priority or precedence, higher order, right? Okay. Yeah, that's it. Method overriding and method overloading. So now this is your task, but you can okay, task is coming. It's very easy. Your task is to, I'm gonna drop it in this Slack channel here. Oops, wait. uh, what was it again? The exclamation mark, right? Task. Task is first create an new animal class. Implement or define a make sound method which prints the string animal calls or animal makes a sound. 3, create a cat class or override the make sound method and which prints the string meow meow. Five, 6, create dog class, override makes sense, and woof, woof. Okay. Seven, make both classes extend the animal class. And create an object of those in different class. And invoke the make sound method. All right. In the shape designer, so we have a shape class. New this new okay. Inside shape designer, I will have one more shape and triangle object, and it's gonna be new triangle object. and I'm gonna have an array list of shapes equal new array list. And I am gonna use for loop shape dot shapes. Oops, 1z, and then shape dot draw shape. What is going on here? Do you understand this? Like I have seen array list with string. I have seen array list with integer, but primitive types, right? Because array list can only store objects. And same thing here, shape is a class. So it can definitely have its own objects. It's a data type. So if I run this right now, I can comment this out. I can comment this out. So let's try to run it ourselves first, okay? First run, oh, we have not added the elements, yeah? Okay, shapes dot add, yeah, let's add the shape object. Secondly, we're shape rectangle. Oops. Third, triangle object. Okay, now, if I loop over this, first, so with this for loop, I'm looping over all of these objects inside the shapes list, right? Array list. Shape.draw shape. First one. What do we have? The measure. First one, it's gonna print shape is drawn. Good. Because it's the object of what's the object name? Shape object, right? Okay. And secondly, Miss Claire, which one is it going to print? Shape rectangle. So rectangle is drawn, right? Shape rectangle. All right. And thirdly, triangle is drawn. Triangle object. Let's run. All right. Ooh. Why the first one is printing triangle is drawn? Shape object is, yes, and triangle overrides, yeah, the draw shape. Okay. So this should be triangle is drawn. But who finds this interesting? When I saw this first time, I found it very interesting. Array list is storing the data type that I created, which is the class custom, right? I created this class, the shape class. And I'm able to save it, like store it inside an array list. And same thing with hash maps. So if I create here a map and key, I'll just give it unique string name. and the value is going to be shape. Shape map is equal to new hash map. Okay. Shape map dot put, you guys forgot. Shape object and then as a value shape object. Let's see. Second one is rectangle object and rectangle, shape rectangle, triangle object and triangle object. And in order to loop over a map, it's gonna be map dot entry string and shape. It's gonna be entry dot shape map dot entry set. Wow, look at this craziness. How am I supposed to remember map dot entry? Wait, what? And then I provide the key value data types and then what is entry? It's a temporary variable. Okay. Shape map dot entry set. Wow. Whatever this is, man, keep it out of my sight. I'm done for the night. Yeah. And then we're going to say, hey, let's go ahead and do this entry dot get value dot draw shape. And good luck. See? So these three right here, right? Last three, okay? These last three. It's being called from here. So what I'm trying to do with this is not to scare you. Don't worry about this. You don't have to do this. You will not have to. I'm just saying is that Java doesn't have any limits. You can go above and beyond and keep practicing and dig deeper. But you don't have to know everything. I have colleagues who have 20 years of experience, doesn't know anything about Java, but he works as a test automation engineer. 20 years of experience. And I am teaching him at work JavaScript with only 4+ years of experience. So you don't have to know everything about Java, okay? Just because these are really hard topics doesn't mean you have to become expert. You don't have to know everything. You don't just know half of Java, you will be fine. The rest of it, well, yeah. How do you say in Russian? Expression. Expression. Бар ошондой сөз? Когда нужна будет, да? When company pays you money and when they need you to get the job done, oh, you will learn. And that time you will miss my classes. Right now, right now you don't realize that it's important, but when you start working, you will sit all night watching Udemy classes, practice YouTube videos, practice, and then solve problems, 2 years of a lot of work, and after 2 years, you will relax. First 2 years was struggle for me too. But it will take time before you can actually master it, yeah? I'm not saying I'm master, but just